Top 5 tanks that changed history. The Renault F-17 was a French light tank used during the First World War and, thanks to its revolutionary design, appeared in the battles of the Second World War. It differed other tanks in World War I by its fully rotatable turret, which no tank had until then. The tank was manned by only 2 people, which was also quite remarkable at that time, because the number of crew members of the other tanks in use was on average around 8 or even more. The tank was designed in 1916 and saw its first deployment in the 1917 at Third Battle of the Aisne, where it performed very well. And within moments it proved to be the most practical and simply the best tank of the First World War. Centurion is special because it is the first main battle tank in history. Until then, all tanks were divided into classes, for example, light tanks which were fast, heavy tanks which had thick armor, tank destroyers which had powerful guns, and infantry tanks which were slow and fought alongside conventional infantry. And the Centurion was the first tank that had it all: strong armor, powerful gun, great mobility, and all the latest systems, which no tank had managed until then. The closest it came was probably the German Panther tank, but it had a high number of technical flaws and design problems overall. During the development of the Centurion, there was one requirement, and that was to not need to be transported by rail. And that was probably the best development decision they could have made, because it made the Centurion big, so they could fit everything it needed on tank and still have enough room for the crew. The Centurion fought in several conflicts, but most of all in the Middle East, where it was used mostly by the Israelis and proved itself very well against modern Soviet tanks, such as the 55 and 62. Previously, it was in the armory of many countries, but now only Jordan, Israel, and South Africa have it in their armor, which is very remarkable for how old a Centurion is. By the way, the first Centurion was made in 1945 on the end of the Second World War. The T-72 is one of the most important tanks, largely due to its versatility, availability, cost, and upgradability. It's a pretty good demonstration that even a 50-year-old tank can be upgraded to one of the most modern and best tanks of the present. The T-72 was designed and manufactured in the Soviet Union, with the first prototype built in 1969 and entering service in 1973. The tank was very similar to its predecessor, the T-64, but differed most from it in having better armor and a modern laser sighting system. It has been widely exported and has seen service in 40 countries and in numerous conflicts, such as the ongoing war in Ukraine, where the 72 is used by both the Russian and Ukrainian sides. The Russian T-90, introduced in 1992, and the Chinese Type 99 are further developments of the T-72. Production and development of various modernized T-72 models continues today, and it doesn't look like they're gonna stop. The M4 Sherman is significant because it is the most produced tank of Second World War, although it didn't beat the German Panthers and Tigers in almost anything except reliability, price, and variability. But its variability was its best feature, as it had many versions, like the heavily armored M43U Jumbo, or the M4 Fury with a powerful cannon, or M4 Calliope with rocket launcher. He served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 1957, and during that period he appeared in many conflicts, most notably World War II and the Korean War. The last 3 Shermans worldwide were retired in 2018 by the Paraguayan government. I know you weren't expecting this tank on this list, but let me explain. When the Soviet Union unveiled the T-54-55 tanks of revolutionary design, the United States responded with the Most.60 patent tank in Germany with the Leopard 1. The Soviet Union then came up with the T-62 tanks a few years later, which caused a small revolution in the tank design field. So the United States had to respond as soon as possible. So they agreed with the Germans to develop a new tank together. From the beginning, the development did not go well because the Americans and the Germans agreed on only a few things, such as the type of armoring, and argued a lot about the rest. So eventually the project ran out of budget, and both the Germans and the Americans made their own tank. The Germans did the Leopard 2 and the Americans did the M1 Abrams, and you can tell they took inspiration from the original project. So without the MT-70 tank, the famous Leopard 2 and M1 Abrams tanks, as we know them now, might never have been made. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I would appreciate would you give me some advices on how to improve in the comment. Bye and have a good day.